Is just this policy alone, is that enough to go on to say that we've transitioned now fully to accepting big government as a platform of the GOP?
I think it's getting there. I really do. Obviously, we expanded Medicare with the Medicare Part D plan, in part because if you had Medicare covering other costs, it didn't seem like it was sensible to not cover the prescriptions for people. You're covering the doctors, but you're not covering the prescriptions for seniors and for the disabled, and that seemed irrational. But the problem was, of course, is that you set this program up in the first place, and so you ended up with this sort of decision about how you deal with the irrationality of it. Then you had the bailouts, right, which were a completely different animal. And you had George Bush, who a man I admired and a president I liked, saying that he basically had to kill capitalism in order to save it, in order to keep the financial sector from collapsing. And the reason for that was because we had allowed it to grow, too big to fail.
Right.
Because of the crony capitalism in the financial sectors, because of all sorts of consolidation that had happened there, you ended up with a few very large players whose failures would have wreaked havoc on the American economy and the global economy, and very possibly could have led to a much worse meltdown than what we saw. So what you had was a series of these sort of crony capitalist, big government policies, which led to a crisis, which required you to increase the big government crony capitalist policies in order to deal with the consequences of that. And this is not quite the same thing, because we're not dealing with crony capitalism here. What we're doing is we're just flat out pandering. Right. We're flat out pandering because we haven't sold conservatism. We haven't sold small government, free market capitalism. Right. We just haven't. And that this entire thing is a failure of the conservative movement to actually win converts.